Hello, Bowie.
Hi, David. How are you?
I'm very well this morning, Adrian.
That's great. How was your trip?
Yeah, good, mate. Yeah, great trip. Great trip.
That's good. Are you still mates with Marsh?
I'm still trying to pay off the credit card from taking him to dinner one night.
Oh, yeah, he loves it. He loves it.
Loves it, yeah.
Yeah. He's cute. He's very cute, Marshy.
He's very cute. He's very cute. Yeah, no, it was all good, buddy. It was all good. No, it was a good trip.
It was good trip.
Did you get away, mate?
That's good.
Did you get away?
No, I didn't. I would have liked to. I'm going to go to Maui, our little house safe spot at the end of the year. But no, Megan, did you heard Megan had breast cancer?
Yeah, I didn't want to verbalise it. Yeah, how yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. Oh, no worries, mate. It is.
But much
Yeah, no, it's all good. It's at this stage, it's all good. So yeah, but obviously not, tricky time to go through. But mate, it's all good, mate. Yeah. That's why we're the practicing Stoics,
Yeah, working on it, buddy. Working on it with mate. I hang out with my mate Ivan once a week these days.
Yeah, he's a practicing Stoic. He loves it.
He loves it. He loves it more. Yeah.
No, you need to, mate. You need to. There's that much. Stuff.
He'll walk on water soon, I reckon. That guy.
It's possible, mate.
It's possible.
Anything's possible. Anything's possible,
mate. We're just slowly letting the people in. On just slowly. The team in. Mate, just please, we've got to let the audience, like Panos does. We'll just let the audience build. You know what I mean?
Let it build. Let it
build.
I don't wear a fucking tie, but at auctions.
Oh, fucking, mate. I want to go viral, mate. I want to do a video and just fucking tell the world how much I fucking can't stand that bloke. But anyway, fucking yell at me again, you fuckwit. Go on, fucking yell at me again. You're the world's worst fucking auctioneer on the fucking planet. I want it to go viral. Dave Gray versus Tom Panos. You are a fuckwit. You're an arrogant fuckwit.
Guys and girls.
What, mate? I might send him a book of the Daily Stoic. He just needs a bit of fucking Dave Gray.
Yeah, he does.
As we work here, mate, pinch and we build them up and then we knock them down. We build them up and then we knock them down. That's got to stay humble, Bowie. Got to stay humble.
There's a lot of ego there, man. With that one, that's for sure.
All right, team. Back to appreciate the one-on-one chat with Adrian. You're listening on. Appreciate it.
No worries. Hey, no problem. Now, open book.
It is open book. Transparency. Now, mate, you asked what to go through today. I don't even know what we can go through today, but I've got a plan. So don't think I don't have a plan. Because, mate, we've been doing so much around vendor management. We've done around discipline. We've done around prospecting. We've done around database, mate. We're probably one of the most, trained groups on what we need to do. In a changing market, I think the question I got for you today, and then I'm actually going to open to the floor. I'm going to let other people ask questions today. But the question I've got for you is, it's a changing market. Mate, there'll be some people that go, oh, fuck, this industry's too hard, or, this is not the same. You've been doing how many years now?
35.
How do you still love it after 35 years, mate? Like, you're hectic. You're hectic. Yeah. You're crazy. Yeah. You fucking work like a dog. Why? Why?
Okay, so really, really good question, and I'll give you the real answer, not the idealistic answer. Because the idealistic answer is because I love people and I love property. That's bullshit, right? It's got right. That's partly true, but only a small part of it, right? Perhaps for the first year. But the real answer is this: in that you have to accept that there's parts of this role and parts of life actually that you tolerate. So borderline disliking, you just tolerate it, right? There's parts of your role and parts of life that you are feeling on purpose. So like if you're at a listing or you're doing an auction, it's like, shit, I'm so where I need to be at the moment. Like it just feels beautiful, right? And then there's other parts. There's other parts of your role or life, whatever you want to call it, that you're feeling completely off purpose. So it could be in an area where you're thinking, shit, what am I doing? I've been doing this for years, and I'm still cold calling. I'm still bloody knocking on doors. I'm still calling people in my database who say, mate, don't call me again. I'm getting carried out in the box. All of that.
Copping rejection, Adrian. After all those years, mate, rejection still hurts.
Yeah, 100%. All of that, or rejection, get lost, whatever. So the reality is, I feel all of those emotions every single day. Okay, and I look at what the alternative is. The alternative is to stop doing it altogether. And I think now we're talking about Stoicism, so it's not a coincidence we're talking about it. The reality is the great Stoics, what they tend to do is they expose themselves to what potentially could happen, So someone needs to mute, actually.
Where are we? Heath, mate. Heath and Plusy, please.
Yeah. So yeah, I know. That's all right. That's all good now. So I know. There's what's his name, Tim, who's on the who's one of the Stoics who's got his own podcast.
Ferris.
Tim Ferriss, yeah. So he'll often say, okay, so if everything falls to shit, what's the worst case scenario? I lose all my money, and so I have to eat off canned beans for 2 weeks. So what he does is he actually acclimatizes himself and prepares himself, and sometimes just for 2 weeks will wear the same clothes and eat beans just for 2 weeks straight, nothing else. And at the end of it, he's like, you know what? It wasn't actually that bad. It wasn't that actual bad. So so when I say that, I've tried like not working, and I've had 2 periods of my life where I had sort of 3 months, and that's got its own challenges, because an empty diary and an empty mind is the devil's playground. So I know for me, mental health space wise, it's much better to be busy and be productive. But in saying that, the caveat is there will be times where you feel off purpose. There'll be times where you feel on purpose. There'll be times where you tolerate some parts of your role. And guess what? You're welcome to life. There's 8 billion people in the world. Every single one of them feel that way. No matter how much money they've got, no matter where they live, it's just the reality of it,
And to put that in my words from that answer, that means that purpose bit that you've got. So obviously there's bits that you just handle. There's bits you don't really love. But doing an auction, doing a training session with Elders Lifestyle Group, those things, that point, that purpose piece outweighs the rest. And at the end of the day, no matter what you're doing, whether it's at home or working for another business or in another industry, you're always going to have bits in your life that are on purpose or off purpose, and bits where you're going to be motivated or not motivated. All right. So cool, mate. That was my question for today. Mate, I'm going to put Greg Bates on the spot because he's always got something. And then guys, start working out questions, and I'll put you on the floor. So Greg Bates, you go first. What's the question for Bowie? Headspace, mindset.
Hey, Bowie. Testing.
Yeah, we got you, Batesy. Gotcha.
No, Bowie's gone, mate.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
I'll probably answer it better anyway. Go for it.
I'm scared to ask the question I was going to ask.
Lost you.
You there now, mate?
Yep.
You're back.
Don't know what happened there. Lost you. Yeah, no, I was just saying, I don't think that those purpose parts outweigh the other parts, but they, in terms of timing, but they certainly allow you to continue. They allow you to continue doing what you do. Like I was with, just a quick example, I was with Josh Tessalon yesterday, and he said to me that he, for 3 hours every night, this is not for everyone, but for 3 hours every night from up till 11:45, he's SMSing one person at a time as his form of prospect. I said, why don't you use automation, like to do a broad? He said, no, this works for me. I'm just watching TV and I'm just doing it. So 3,000 people, 3 hours, 1,000 person an hour. I don't reckon he loves doing it, but he tolerates it because he knows he's going to reach his goal, which is like 20 to 30 sales every month,
Wow. That's, yeah. He can have that. He can have that and wear his fucking purple suit. Batesy.
That's what I'm saying. That's it.
I can look,
There you go.
hey, look at me and me Givenchy one sale, mate. One
That's
sale.
it.
Dave Grove. All right,
That's
Batesy,
it,
go.
that's
Hey, Bowie.
Hey, my man.
How are you, buddy?
Good, buddy. Good.
Hey, mate, I want to ask you a question. Do you ever get these negative thoughts in your head? And how do you get those negative thoughts out of your head? Like,
Yeah.
you obviously have, like you have these voices in your head saying you're not
Yeah.
good enough and that sort of stuff. How do you deal with all that?
Yeah. Great question. And the answer is 100% yes. And there's just to give you a bit of background. It's not voices. There is one voice in your head, and it's called the sheep in wolf's clothing, or it's called our dark side or our shadow. Every single person has it, right? If you've ever watched the movie The Fight Club, that's the perfect metaphor for it. Where Brad Pitt at the end, you work out that he actually wasn't a real person. He was the actor's dark side or his shadow or his voice. Now, what did Brad Pitt do to that? I forgot the character, the other actor's name. It'll come to me. But anyway, what
Edward Norton.
Edward Norton, thank you. So you only find out at the end that Brad Pitt was Edward Norton's shadow or dark side or voice, and you look at the shit that he made him do. It seduced him, it doubted him, it did everything you could possibly think of. Now that's an extreme example of how palpable this voice can be. So what I've been taught, and to be honest with you, mate, I've been taught by a psychologist, not a psychiatrist, a psychologist. And it's a form of what they call cognitive behavioral therapy, which is basically this wolf in sheep's clothing. When these voices actually appear, or when this voice says something, you must learn not to treat it as fact all the time, okay? Because it's actually fictitious. It is fictitious, but if we don't control the voice or what this person's saying, because it is another person, it's actually a separate entity within all of us. I know this is probably going down a pretty spooky path, but you asked the question, so we'll answer it. And I've actually seek professional help in this area, so I'm pretty well equipped to advise you. Is when this entity starts to seduce you or doubt you, then you have to treat it as fictitious, not as a fact, and you have to question it, and you have to learn to disrespect it like you would another human being that you disrespect. Because there's a lot of blokes, I'm sure, Batesy, that come up to you and go, "Oh, mate, you should do this and you should do," and you're like, "No, I don't really respect that, mate. I don't want to do that." So it's exactly the same. You have to learn to treat it as a separate entity because it's got its own. It really has its own DNA, its own mindset, its own thoughts, its own brain patterns. It's a completely separate entity within you. And if you see people that are living on the street or in drug rehab or whatever, then it's got the best of them, and they haven't been able to control it. I'm not saying that that's where we'll end up, but it's very common. It does happen to the best of us, right? So you got to learn early. Okay, the voice comes out. What do? Do I respect that? Is it fact or is it fiction? I reckon it's fiction. I'm gonna disrespect you, and I'm going to ignore that. But I take on board what you're saying, like you would another human being. Because if a human being you disrespect says to you, "Mate, jump over the bridge," you go, "No, piss off. I wouldn't do that." But also in saying that, sometimes the sheep can be a very good thing because it's the one that says, "Mate, keep going. You got this." Like, just do this, keep going. So it actually works. It works both ways,
Bowie, I'll build on that. So from that, feelings aren't facts, guys. I don't know if you've ever had a fight with a girlfriend or a partner and I bet they're my feelings. Yeah, but they're not fucking right. So feelings aren't facts. And that's a real thing. And then Batesy, with what I've been talking around, your child ego, your adult ego, and your parent ego. So that voice can also come up in those three different things. So it can be your child and child trauma and stuff that went on in your child. So it's actually your child personality coming out in you with whatever happened to you as a child. You got your adult voice, which is your best self, and that's the one that we usually try and put you back on the right path. And then depending on our background and how good our family upbringing was, and depending on our circumstances, we've got a parental ego, and that parental ego can guide us. And you'll find that voice or that shadow can turn up in those 3 different egos. So it's just looking at what that voice is doing. So that is pretty deep for a freaking Thursday.
It's good. It's very relevant.
I don't want you going into it, Bo, but I think it's really important because, I've known Adrian a long time. He's had one of the most successful real estate careers on the planet. But I know for a fact Adrian's had some pretty dark times in that as well, and come back. So when you're hearing Adrian talk like this is coming from a guy that's actually had a successful career, had moments no matter what material success might have happened, and worked through it. Would that be fair, Bowie?
100%. I mean, it's public knowledge. The what happened to me at McGrath, 26 years of giving my blood, sweat, and tears, and then to be ousted. That was. But I don't blame anyone or anything. It's just, mate, it is what it is. I just controlled the controllables, which was to do what I do best and do great work. Mate, it was an outcome. It wasn't the final outcome. It was just an outcome. I didn't even label it good or bad, but if I look back now, it was outstanding outcome, right? My wife's recently gone through breast cancer. Outcome. It's an outcome. Is it good or bad? Don't know yet. I'll find out soon. But, what we did is just focused on what we could control. And positive thinking doesn't work. That's bullshit. I think Chris Helder nails it when he talks about useful beliefs. So my useful belief about getting, ousted at McGrath is that, mate, I've become an entrepreneur. That's my useful belief. My useful belief about my wife getting breast cancer is that she's going to live a healthier lifestyle. There's always a useful positive thinking is only is momentarily. It doesn't work that long term. So don't think that anyone on this call is immune from adversity in their life. In fact, embrace it, welcome it, because the obstacle is the way, as Ryan Holiday talks about.
And Jet Xavier yesterday, mate, the way he talked about change was outstanding. Cool. Who's got the next question?
What was the key message, just out of interest on change? Yeah.
Fucking look at it. It's coming at you. Embrace it. Let's go.
Yeah. Same.
Let's go.
Yeah, so it's exactly what I'm talking about. Yep, 100%.
Same present, wrapped differently. Cool. Next question. Let's go, guys. I don't care what it is. Oh, in about 30 seconds, I'll pick on someone. Who's it going to be?
Yeah,
I've got a question. Oh, all right, you go, Matty.
Yeah, go.
I was gonna say just in the spring market coming up now with the selling season. What if you're new? What would your ideal day be like? Coming into the next couple of months.
Well, on that, Adrian, because Matt's at what if you brought a new prospect or assistant in, how many calls would they make in your team a day?
It'd have to be 100 calls. Yeah.
And Matt,
100 calls.
Realistically, how many calls are you making a day? Let's be honest. Let's own it.
This between 10 and 30.
Yeah. You lost your job with Adrian.
But in saying that, Dave, the calls are just means based. So what I'm getting at with the calls, I'm
talking about intensity, Bowie. I'm talking about intensity.
Yeah. But they're means based in order. So to answer Matt's question, if you're new and looking at a new market, mate, means based. You definitely need to do the 100 because the whole means to an end is actually to build a database, right? So if I had to look at what's the number one objective to answer your question is to build a database. How are you gonna do that if you don't have any data? Is to cold call and door knock. Like there's actually no other way around it. Or if someone can provide you orphan data in the office that they're not servicing, that's the only way. But yeah, when you're starting, unless it's 100 a day, it's not going to work, mate.
And you need to be obsessed by it. Yeah, in the early stage.
100. Yeah, there's no doubt about it.
And then we talk about work-life balance after a couple of years. Yeah.
Oh, there's no doubt that the whole work-life balance thing is great if you've done the hard yards to start with, but that shouldn't be a priority in the early part of your career. If you don't think there's a sacrifice involved to some degree without killing yourself, then you're delusional. There is a sacrifice. There's no doubt about it.
Wonderful rewards. Yeah, cool. All right, next question.
I had one about, I guess, negotiating a little bit in a buyer's market. Because I
Yeah.
just sort of started getting the hang of it when the market was hot. It would be easy
Yeah.
because you just go between buyers. But now that you only
Yeah.
have the one,
Yeah.
especially like if it's a buyer seller, not looking like you're just taking the offer and running, but then also trying to
So,
just bridge that
so
gap.
let's do a role play, and you're a buyer, Smiles.
Mhm.
Adrian will be the agent, and you role play how you might have had a negotiation, and you act like how a buyer's treated you recently.
Okay, yeah. So like for example, a guide of 530 to 550.
Mhm.
I'm the only person on it, and I'm only going to pay
Yeah.
500. My offer is 500.
Okay. Auction or private trading?
Private treaty.
Private trading. Okay. So yeah. Go on.
So 530 to 550, the owner wants the only one buyer on it. They've offered 500. All right. So you've offered Adrian 500. Bo will take it away.
Yeah. So is this in a form of? I mean, well, I can only tell you what I do. I mean, for me, it's not an offer unless it's on a signed contract. So I have to make this critical assumption that it's on that it's an unconditional offer, because that's the only way I'll work. For someone just to make
It's a bit different up here, Bo. It's a little bit different up here. Solicitors move a little bit slow. We work a little bit harder on that, but mate, it can take 10 days up here for an exchange. Yeah.
We're not talking about exchange. So what you're saying is, if you guys get an offer, even if it's just verbal, you go in hard to try and
we make sure it's a solid offer first, but mate, the lawyers up here will not sort of get buyers ready to give signed contracts.
Okay. Just to help me then, what is your definition of a solid offer then?
Would go back, make sure they got finance, they're happy, they need a build and pest, all that sort of stuff, ready to go forward.
Okay.
So, we're an 80% chance that by the time we've got an offer of 500, they're going to go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So what I'd be doing is, Samet, now I appreciate the offer. Let me ask you, have you made this offer based on what you subjectively think this property is worth, or is it a finance restriction, given that we're asking more?
Based on just what I feel. Yeah.
Okay. So what you're telling me, Sam, is you do actually have more to spend, but just not for this particular property.
Yeah. There's one down the road that I think I might pay a bit more, but I kind of like this one, so I want to put an offer on this one.
I understand. Do you mind if I ask you how long you've been looking?
About 3-4 months.
3-4 months. Okay. Have you calculated how many homes you've actually looked at within that 3-4 months?
Oh, a lot.
A lot. Okay. So I'm assuming you looked at a few per week, and for 3-4 months, so it's over 100 properties that you've looked at.
Yeah, potentially.
Okay. So Samet, do you mind if I ask you how many have actually suited you, and have you decided to pursue in this format in terms of making an offer out of that 100 plus properties?
Probably about 3 or 4 so far. I've placed a couple offers and missed out in the past.
3 or 4. Okay, no problem. Now, let me also ask you do you enjoy looking at open houses every week and talking to agents like you are today? Do you enjoy that?
I wouldn't say enjoy, no.
Okay. And what is it? Okay. And what is it taking you away from? So what's the opportunity cost? What could you be doing with your time rather than doing this?
Doing my own thing, I guess. Yeah, enjoying my weekends a little bit more rather than.
Okay. And that includes, I assume, spending time with family?
Yeah.
Yeah. And what sort of work are you involved in, Samet?
Hospitality.
Hospitality. Okay. So I assume it also takes away time from your work as well. So what you're trying to tell me is that you, out of the 3% strike rate you've had so far in terms of properties you're wanting to pursue, you're hoping to save another 3 or 4%, even though there is a high opportunity cost for you to potentially keep looking. And what you're also saying is you want to find a property that's good value to you, but also something that you actually pursue, even though your strike rate for properties that you've actually enjoyed or wanting to pursue is pretty low. Yeah.
Yeah, look, something along those lines. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you see, Sam, how how that's not going to be easy to achieve, to actually find the right property that you want to pursue, and might take another 3 to 6 months and actually take you away from what you really want to do. And we don't know what the market's going to do. I mean, the last time the media made a prediction, they said the market was going to drop by 30%. It went up by 30%. So we don't know. All we know is the market today is a sensible market to purchase in. Number one. Number two is you like this property. And number three, if you don't buy it, the opportunity cost is high. And also the convenience value is also very high, because we're taking away from things that you really want to do. Is that really worth $20,000 or $30,000 to you when you look at it that way?
That gets you thinking, doesn't it?
Yeah. So is it a slightly more direct conversation? Yes, it is. If you don't have these conversations, then are you less likely to put deals together? Yes, the reality is, because the average punter is just conditioned to not necessarily focus on what the opportunity cost of not buying is, and they just think it might be normal that you can look for 3 months and only find 3 properties that you actually want to buy, which you need to remind them is not normal, right? And you need to put things into perspective. So basically all I was doing there is providing some perspective for you, rather than the default thought process that you normally would go through.
And on top of that, once an agent can start talking like that, like, I mean, if I'm talking to Adrian like that, I'm going to shut down pretty quick, knowing exactly what he's doing and where he's taking me. But the fact is, I have to respect him, because he's taking time, he's asking right questions, he's investigating, and I know that I'm dealing with a professional agent, and I know a professional agent's going to do the best for his vendor. And if I know I want it, I know I'm going to have to pay a little bit more. So there's lots of parts of that. But it's just taking that time. And a lot of our reactions in this market, which you've got to be careful of, we're so used to getting offers close to what we want. We get an offer of 500. What do we get? Nah, too late. Nah, mate. You need to be serious. That's too. And soon as we do that, we lose that buyer. Where it's a bit like when I take an offer at an auction. I'm not, I never say it again. It's not the low offer. It's how I deal. It's how I deal with it. If I've got a property that's going to sell for 800, someone says 6, thank you for your start, sir. Next bid needs to be 750. Like, it's psychologically how you're dealing with that person. And as Arthur Purse used to say, that you're good enough that you put a tent inside their head. You fucking live in their head, and that's where you need. That's my sort of dialogue around that. But it's taking that time, and that dialogue for you, mate, at and experience level. That Adrian's done that a long time. It's about then role playing. You get an offer, you ring Jake and I, and you tell us what you're going to say, because that there's a lot of experience in the way Adrian did that. If you go straight off and do that in your next phone call, you'll muck it. So role play.
Notice the first question I did ask, though, is it your subjective opinion and value or a budget restriction? Because if it was a budget restriction, then I necessarily wouldn't have launched into the rest of it, because it wouldn't have really made a lot of sense. I probably would have just gone straight to the owner and then worked on them, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? So I've got to pick my battles in this market, Samet. I've got to really pick my battles, otherwise you'll be wasting a lot of time.
Thank you.
All right, so that's really important. Yeah, no dramas.
Beautiful, mate. We're just coming on to 9. We had a big session yesterday with Jets. I think everyone's got a lot of stuff going on. I think for Adrian's next session in a couple of weeks, guys, email me any questions that you might have. I think, I come up with a lot for training of what I think we need, but, with all of you, there's going to be a lot of stuff that I don't realize what you might need. So for the next session, let's get your questions out and let's hear what you want. And in the meantime, obviously, you reach out to me if there's anything today that was pressing. But I think that, and knowing Batesy, and I'm pretty hard on Batesy's, Batesy won't mind me sharing this around his mindset, because, mate, he's a fucking brilliant agent. He's got plenty of experience. He's got a great reputation. He's a great agent. Batesy's only challenge ever is the game that's going on in his head. So, and that's the same for, I think, all of us. And it's just more obvious with great agents, because, you can see the real swing. So it's about being kind to ourselves, understanding. And a bit like Adrian, like I'm now seeing Jackie, who's a therapist. You've gone down that path. I'm now reading Daily Stoic. I think it's just being open to more lessons, and to finish that the world, 20 years ago when we were being an agent, mate, I didn't really know Adrian's figures. I didn't really know what he was doing. The market might know a bit. if I was a good talker, talk around that. Now our statistics are out there, our social media is out there. Comparison is just absolutely punished at us. And I think mentally it's a lot harder game. And that's why, as I started yesterday with Mighty Ducks and the team that we want to be, is we need to support each other.
100%. Yeah, look, that's never going to stop, Batesy, and to everyone, that voice or the sheep in wolf's clothing, whatever, it's going to be relentless. It's actually designed to be relentless to either get the better of us or to bring out the best in us. Okay, and you choose which one it is.
And Bowie, you would have in selling in the East, you would have met wealthy on top of wealthy people, and you would have got to know them. It doesn't matter where you are, yeah. Like that voice that comes for you, yeah. Like whether you would have read Russell Crowe over the years or the Packers or whatever, mate. They've all got that.
100%. Probably worse because they've got higher expectations from people around them, and then they're also sort of reached certain levels. So it's like, well, where do you go from here? So it's actually even worse. So it's really important to keep track of that. And make sure that you just don't dismiss it. You indulge. The idea is to actually indulge it, listen to it. Is it fact or fiction? If it's fiction, then just ignore it and disrespect it as you would another human being, because it is a separate entity. You know.
Love your work. That was a really good sesh. Thanks, Bowie. Have a good one. Cheers, mate. Bye, boys.
See you, legends. Bye.
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 Why can't they do it? Yeah, you never do it?